Hello.
Hello.
It's been a very long time. Maybe not even necessarily for you, but for me, it's been a very long time.
Yeah, we fell into a time worm.
This is the Patron Q&A for my video on Sonic Underground.
Yeah, the best anime.
Yeah, so this is our first time recording in our new setup.
Dude, moving was such a pain in the ass.
It was
don't
so
recommend
exhausting.
moving.
I don't recommend moving once a year, especially.
Wasn't our intention to, but here we are.
Sure wasn't.
Hey, all right. Well, let's jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
Do you have any housekeeping you need to do?
I don't think so. This one was pretty cut and dry.
Okay.
I like, there were a few people who speculated a lot of insightful things that it may have been. Mm-hmm. I saw people saying, like, oh yeah, a lot of Brazilian gaming magazines and TV catalogs would lie about stuff pretty frequently. So that there was a chance it had come from that.
I feel like American gaming magazines did that sometimes, just like made up shit that sounded cool.
Yeah.
I could see that being the case. All right, our first question today comes from Codfish Cartographer, who says, we remember the works of Mozart, Shakespeare, Da Vinci, etc., even hundreds of years after their death. What anime and games, if any, do you think will be remembered hundreds of years from now? I feel like with your fascination for obscure media, you'd have a particularly interesting view on this sort of thing.
It's interesting.
Hazel's drinking water.
Because I feel like it's so hard to gauge.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like,
Yeah, I mean, aside from the obvious shit, like really historical,
yeah,
like Mario.
Yeah, I feel like as far as anime is concerned,
Mario 2.
It's almost certainly going to be Mario 2. No, I'm fairly certain it'll be like Ghibli stuff, and then like,
anime's
like
hard.
Akira.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, that's kind of cheating because that's stuff that's already like seen as historical from our perspective. So,
but when you
like,
think about like records of guys like Mozart when they were alive, like they were basically treated like proto rock stars,
right?
So I feel
they
like
were
having
a big deal in their own time.
Exactly, yeah. Like obviously people like Van Gogh, where we appreciate them retroactively, is kind of like a different story. Although in those instances, like, I think a lot of that sort of slow reverence that people built up for him was only so slow because it was before culture had accelerated to the rate that it's at now.
Like, cult classics happen way the fuck faster now because word of mouth is so, like...
Yeah, like, I've seen turnarounds on pieces of media occur over half a decade.
A few years. Yeah, like, the public opinion on Wind Waker being as positive as it is now is so crazy to me because people were livid when that game came out. And now looking back on it and thinking people being that pissed off about it is really weird. But the opinions on, oh good, Wander's taking a shit and loudly scratching in his box right as we're recording.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
No, okay, it's fine. But yeah, the opinions on things can shift so rapidly.
I'm already seeing the cultural tides shift on Balan Wonderworld.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, all it takes is one good, well-worded YouTuber to be like, this thing is poopy, or this thing is good. For everyone to be like, I think they're right. So I don't know, in 100 years, I mean, okay, so thought exercise, what will social media look like in 100 years?
I think we won't be dead by then.
I think you're right. So the real answer to this question is no anime or games will be remembered in 100. Whatever the aliens that find our husk of a planet can excavate from the nuclear
whichever
blast.
anime girl figures were made out of the sternest resin.
Oh,
will be the ones who will be remembered.
Like, do you think maybe like some of the metal garage kits will survive?
Yeah. Like you'll find like the occasional melted Supersonico.
Yeah,
and like the aliens will try to be like, what was this once upon a time?
It'll be like the Venus of Willendorf.
Right. Yeah.
Like, did humans look like this to themselves?
Yeah. Like, we have, like, cranial records. Their eyes clearly weren't this big.
Yeah. God. I mean, I do think a lot about the idea of our modern world as it is now. Like, what if we got, like, meteorited, you know, and, like, we all got buried? Like, what would future sentient creatures...
God, it's such a romantic thought to think that we would get meteorited.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's best case scenario.
Yeah, rather than it just being our own downfall.
Oh, I'm sure. But, you know, some kind of big event that, like, suddenly ends our lives and kind of destroys our planet. Like, what...
Like, let's just say that the Earth gets coated in enough, what do you call it? Like topsoil again. that you have to go excavating to find the remains of the culture.
Like, what's going to get excavated and what assumptions are going to be made as a result? Yeah. Because in some ways, human history is better documented than ever before because of the internet. But in other ways, it's like, how much of that would really survive if, like, our technology is destroyed?
Right.
You know, like, if the internet goes down and, like, all the computers and hard drives and external drives are destroyed, where's all that information?
Right.
Like, is it just gone? Now I'm scaring myself. Let's move on to the next question. Sorry, that was kind of a weird vibe for the first question.
All right.
Branwyn Shoop says, was stoked to hear you mention Kayla Janice a little while back. Have you had the chance to watch your documentary on folklore? It's 3 hours, but it flies by.
I haven't yet. I would like to at some point. Oh my god, I have a popcorn kernel stuck in my throat. I'll be right back.
Oh, no wonder your throat's so itchy.
Oh my god.
I'm drinking a Baja Blast right now. You guys want to sip? We're living in a new place, but Hazel still set up like a cup full of shit and a bunch of books right next to where my elbow is once again.
A better place for
no, I know you couldn't.
You show me where else to put it. And I'll put it there.
I'm just saying to the viewers, if history repeats itself, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I would really like to. I'm really excited that book is getting a revised edition. I'm excited to own a second copy that looks identical on my shelf, but has more stuff on the inside.
Nice. I have nothing to contribute to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Arpeggio
says, what are the 3 pieces of Sonic media that you think you put the most time into playing / watching?
Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah.
Sonic 2. And probably Sonic Advance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I liked Sonic Advance a lot.
I just had it as a kid. It was one of those for me.
But I wasn't good at it. I couldn't really beat it.
Yeah, I had to ask my stepdad to beat a lot of the boss fights for me. Because he was like, he had a Genesis as a kid.
I didn't know he played games
a little
at
younger.
all. Oh, yeah. Your stepdad's kind of young.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2, easily. Because I feel like I spent cumulatively like hundreds of hours just grinding rings and chow drives for my chow. I feel like maybe I played Sonic Heroes a little bit more than Sonic Adventure, at least in childhood.
I also definitely played a lot of that game.
And Sonic X maybe. I don't know that series as up and down in its entirety as you would think I did, but anytime an episode aired on 4Kids and I had enough blank VHS tape space, I would record the episodes and watch them over and over again.
Yeah.
Have I told the story on any of your FAQs or streams about Christina logging?
I think you did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
maximum
so many hours in Sonic Heroes that it like just wasn't counting anymore.
Yeah. I want to say you told that story on stream and then Christina joined the chat as you were explaining it.
And she was like, look. It's hard to 100% that game, okay? And I was like, no, you're a legend for that. She wasn't quite that defensive. I love you, Christina. Nora says, have y'all played any of the Zero Escape games? If so, what are your thoughts?
No, I'd really like to.
I'm a little
bit more interested in playing the earlier Uchikoshi games first. Ever 7 and Never 17? Or is it Ever 17 and Never 7?
Ever 17 and Never 7.
Yeah.
I think.
I'd really like it if...
And their lesser-known music project, Under 17.
I can't remember if Memories Off is not translated yet, but the OVA is. I think that might be how it is currently, so I may just watch that OVA, since I think it was the first game. I think he wrote one of the routes in that game, and that was like his debut in writing in games.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of interest in Uchikoshi.
Yeah, I extremely respect the guy on principle. Yeah. I think that his thoughts about chill. Visual novels are really interesting. Yeah, and he's rolling with the LGBT.
Yeah, he's cool. I feel like, I watched my roommates play a lot of Zero Escape, but in kind of the like background, like I'm doing something in the living room, and also they're doing this, so sometimes I key in and figure out what's going on, but not enough to retain significant information about it, so I would like to play it for myself someday.
Well, you've got the Funya Rinpa lore down.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I was furiously Googling Funya Rinpa, and then, like, the internet's collective dedication to keep the joke going, like, really warmed my heart, to be honest. Andrew Gale says, did you find any other interesting info doing this research that couldn't fit into the video?
Yes, somebody replied to me on Twitter when I was asking if anybody knew anything about it. Someone said that there was a rumor in Brazilian fan sites about a game or a show, I can't quite remember which, called Sonic Samurai. And it was a game where Sonic was a samurai, or a show or whatever. Samurai, what's up? And so it'd be like people would post like, yeah, you know, there are rumors that this new game is going to come out or whatever. I tried Google searching it, and I tried searching it when I was on those fan sites, but I couldn't find anything about it. So it seems like it's one of those things that was really centralized to that moment in time.
I miss the days where making fake leaks. Well, I guess
fake leaks are like the thing that still happens.
Sure. I mean, I guess people still make them, but I feel like it's easier for people to bust them faster now. Whereas back in the day, you could see like a shittily drawn mock-up, and everyone would be like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. And then one person would be like, "Link's sword is sheathed backwards. This is fake."
Yeah. So cute. I tried to make a fake leak for a Chow DS game.
Really?
As a kid. It was really obviously fake. I don't even think I fooled the kids that I was trying to trick, but it was fun.
That's so cute.
Goji Dragon says, what do you think of the ugly movie Sonic's Return?
I think it sucks. I think it's so fucking... I think it's lame.
I haven't seen it in context, so I don't know how it plays out. Like,
I've seen it.
I don't know how mean-spirited it is.
It's not even necessarily mean-spirited. It's just like that like, fucking, like, prodding, like corporate, like, nudging you with its elbow a little too hard, and it kind of hurts, but, like, it kind of just annoys you more than anything.
For me, I have no intention to ever see that movie, so if anything, I just kind of find it funny that the presence of Sonic in that movie trended harder than anything else about that movie, which was probably partially their intention, but it's also like a Morbius effect of like, if nobody is actually going to see the movie because of this, then is it really a successful viral campaign? Yeah. Like, everyone just like Sonic, like that's kind of all you got out of that. So I just found it kind of funny. I have no strong feelings about it. Annoyance says, have you seen or heard of Moonchild, starring not only Gact, but also Hyde of Lark NCL, I'm sorry, I've never actually known how to pronounce that, / solo fame as gangsters, but also vampires, but also sad drama boys? It's a one-stop shop. It's my number one The Room similar trash movie.
That
Holy
sounds
shit.
fucking
That sounds
awesome.
fucking awesome.
We should watch that with Amra.
I was gonna say Amra and or Minnie. That sounds like a great watch with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds fucking great.
I wonder if they play the Chiba Motto song in there.
I wish. Probably not.
I know.
It's probably all Gact music.
Yeah. Or maybe not. I bet it's too... he was too expensive.
Yeah.
Like,
Probably
his likeness could appear in it, but...
I wish Gact wasn't an asshole because I find him really entertaining as an entity.
He's living, breathing camp.
He is, but he doesn't know it.
No,
you know?
that's why he's camp. All camp
true.
is naive.
True. I mean, I guess The Room is an apt comparison.
Yeah. Gact is the room of human beings.
Sluggy says, in a universe where Sonic Underground got an actual proper ending, what kind of ending would you have liked? Or do you think that a masterpiece like Sonic Underground can never be truly complete no matter what the author calls an ending?
There actually was originally going to be a comic that ended the series that was announced kind of toward the end of the Archie run. And I think it got shelved and then was officially canceled when the Archie comics came to an end. I honestly have no stakes in it. I'm going to say that I want them to find their mother de-roboticize Uncle Chuck and then move out to the suburbs and have suburban adventures.
See, my thought is that, like, yeah, it's, like, kind of obvious where that's going to go, right? Like...
Well, right, yeah.
This series almost is more legendary because no one ever got that closure.
Yeah.
Like,
the closure is so simple that you can write it out in your head at literally 100 different ways and it would come out more
pretty
or less
much
the same. Yeah.
I want them to find out that their mother was dead all along and their real mother is fucking, what was that ugly guy you guys were all excited Bartleby.
That Bartleby gave birth to them?
Yeah, Bartleby gave birth to them.
The sexiest man in animation.
The sexiest man in animation.
The sexiest, richest, and most powerful man alive.
That's what I want.
Yeah. I like it.
Why WM? Yeah, there's a reason they don't have me working on television animation. Just kidding. Why WM says, great video as always. Sonic has always had such a crazy lineup of interpretations, and I want to know what some of your favorites are. This can be from game shows, comics, etc. Also, just thought I'd share this fun fact. Knuckles the Seiyu, Nobuto Shikana, once voiced John Talbane in a Darkstalkers CD drama.
That's so crazy. CD. I didn't even know that Darkstalkers drama CDs existed. I'm just imagining it's like 90% like stock punch sound effects. That's a good question. I mean, I really, really like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Mm-hmm. I think that Sonic adapts really well into that like Looney Tunes format. Yeah. And I think that it's a very holistic Sonic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I've sung Adventures of praises before, but it's like the number one cartoon I went back to watch for the first time.
Right.
Expecting it to be like cheap, boring trash and kind of the like, I don't know, just the era of cheap adaptations kind of way.
Like the Disney show, like fucking Bonkers.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
And I was so pleasantly surprised, not only by how like everything about it's just kind of unexpected. Like the visual gags are really unexpected. The like art direction and backgrounds are unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, it's Looney Tunesy, but sometimes it almost like feels like it takes it 12 steps further than you would expect a Looney Tunes-esque
It can be genuinely like avant-garde at times.
Yeah, avant-garde.
Like almost alienating.
Yeah. Like,
which I really like about it.
But it does a good job of juggling that with like sometimes giving some real glimpses into the humanity of the characters. Mostly just Sonic and Tails. The other characters are just kind of periphery gags most of the time. But like Sonic and Tails get some genuinely like good characterization now and then, and that balanced with the bizarre avant-garde visual humor makes it like very engaging. Like there are a lot of old children's cartoons that can't hold my attention anymore, but like Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog always has me fully
definitely
wrapped. So I really respect it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite interpretation of Sonic, but it's definitely like a special treat in all the past adaptations.
Yeah. I know this is really specific.
It's also the cutest Tails IMO.
I agree.
Anyway.
I really like the like right when Sonic's redesign was announced for Adventure, up to the precipice of Sonic Adventure 2, almost feels like this kind of like microcosm of Sonic like actually successfully being cool again.
Oh yeah, I mean all the renders from that era are like the fucking coolest looking shit in the entire world.
And like there are plenty of good renders after that point.
Sure,
I don't say that to be like, oh, Sonic Adventure 2 is a lesser product.
No,
rather that it had been streamlined enough that something kind of like rustic about it that made it cool.
Yeah,
it was sort of sloughed off in the process.
Yeah. I mean, those old renders just give me the same feeling as like, those like, I don't know if they're like magazines or like CDs that are just like compilations of cool 3D renders that were made just to be like, look what kind of art people can make on a computer. Like, that's the same kind of emotion that era of Sonic renders gives me. I'm like, wow.
Ditto goes for the 2D art as well.
Yeah, like, my favorite thing about that era of Sonic art also, and Minnie is the one who's brought this up, our dear friend Minnie, that, like, that era of Sonic art is so, like, the posing is kind of nonsensical, but it's very, like, almost graffiti in its sensibilities, both in its, like, line work, its shading, and how it values, like, just interesting shapes and composition over any kind of logicality to the poses they put Sonic in. And for characters like Blocky and simple as he is with limbs as small as they are, there are only so many ways you can, like, logically pose him. So the fact that they just fucking balls to the wall, like, made him look as cool as they possibly could, logic be damned, is like one of my favorite things about that era of Sonic art.
And I think that by Adventure 2 and Heroes and stuff like that, it kind of became more about, like,
it gets a lot more grounded.
Like, I feel like he like underwent his second mascotification almost. And I don't think that's a bad thing again. It's just different.
Yeah, I mean, I think the series had different needs of him by then. So he shifted appropriately to match those needs. But yeah, that said, I'm still very fond of that particular era.
All in all, though, favorite Sonic of all time is the really fucked up, like, stringy, mo-capped Sonic from the Pakistan. I think it's the Pakistan McDonald's commercial.
Cream and cheese buttflogen, whatever the fuck it sounds like. I love that commercial.
It's so good. Rogue and Amy Tennis.
It's now I'm just like randomly talking about how much I like Sonic. Like,
that's what this is always meant to be.
Yeah, this isn't even like a top 3 one for me or anything. But in a similar vein, and I think most people know this by now, but the Sonic Boom cartoon is surprisingly fun. Not always. It can be hit and miss, but the good episodes of that are very entertaining.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not my favorite designs by far. It's not even my favorite characterizations, except maybe for Amy.
I agree, yeah.
I like Amy in Sonic Boom cartoon just because she's like... I'm probably going to uncharitably attribute this more so to a lack of her having character traits, but I'm going to pretend it's a character trait that she always has a lot of different weird hobbies.
Yeah.
And that could be them just trying to artificially instill her with, like, personality by giving her a lot to do.
Or just to make for more fertile episodes.
Yeah,
subjects.
But the fact that it's specifically Amy out of the cast who always kind of has, like, all these different weird hobbies, and, like, I don't know, as someone who also has a lot of weird different hobbies, I found that really fun about her, that she just always gets, like, really invested in whatever she does. I think, like, the idea of characterizing Amy as someone a little bit less obsessive and a little more invested is, like, a fun way to spin her character.
Definitely.
Like, there's that episode where she gets, like, really obsessed with fucking, like, Littlest Pet Shop or whatever, and Eggman's also really into it, so they become, like...
That episode is genuinely cute.
They become, like, autistic buddies over it, and, like, info dump about it together, and it's like, aw, this is so cute. That's maybe a favorite Amy characterization for me. I mean, I like what I've seen of her from the IDW comics as well, but as I've said a million times, I need to, like, actually read more than the first couple volumes of it.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I had an easier answer for, like, a definitive one, but I feel like
there are little bits and pieces of fun things throughout
I feel
the
like
entire
Sonic
franchise.
is so, like, cumulative that I don't think I could point to a single interpretation as definitive in my brain.
Death by 1,000 Needle Mouse.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Life by 1,000 Needle Mouse.
Sounds good. Let's see. Voigtspuller asks, with the demise of the Patron meals in the middle, are you going to include any interstitial pauses? I always kind of enjoyed the music break vibe of the interludes as a time to just digest the prior section. Any thoughts on whether this type of pacing concern translates to YouTube?
If it feels right, I'll do it.
We should just start doing, like, live-action gags with Wander. Like, you know, in Lucky Star, when they start just doing full-blown live-action sections of Akira
like,
and what's his face?
Minoru.
Minoru? Is that his name?
I think it's Minoru.
Okay.
Minoru Shiraishi.
Yeah. And then their voice actors are just, like, fucking, like, screaming on beaches and, like, running around doing weird shit. We should just do that with Wander.
I've been doing a lot of thinking about the kinds of things that I want to do in videos when I am back to making them again. I've been doing a lot of brainstorming, and I think I have some fun, weird stuff in store.
Hell yeah.
But I don't know if it would necessarily manifest as like an interstitial section.
Mm-hmm. Little commercial break. Little potty break.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like I think it was Steve Albini who was like, I don't really feel that much need to repeat sections of songs because if you want to hear them again that bad, just rewind the tape. So it's like, if you feel like you want to digest, just pause the video for a bit, you know?
True. I mean, I kind of agree, though, that I enjoy the, like, halfway through the video chill sections.
Yeah. But I'm trying to mainline information right into my veins, though, so I feel like if I were a viewer, I would probably, unless I was, like, really invested in the channel as a fan, I would probably skip through it just to get back to learning things.
It definitely depends on the vibe of the channel. Yeah. There are some videos, like, I mean, I've said this before, but, like, I love Tariq, even though he has a lot of, like, ostensibly, like, filler sections. But there are a lot of other YouTubers I love who I watch on 2x speed, and I'm so sorry that I'm this way.
Yeah. Like, he's definitely an exception for me.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, he's an exception for me, too.
But I think part of that is also just that he does them very skillfully.
Yeah. Michael Graps says, I've been loving the Sonic streams. You mentioned a few times in them that there's a spreadsheet of all the Sonic games you want to play through in these streams. How long are you predicting it's going to take to get through them all?
I've got no worries about figuring that out, you know?
It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, like, I feel like the more I try to put, like, a date to when it might be done, the harder it's gonna be to kind of, like, get through sections that might feel a bit more like a slog than others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Plus, like, we're still adding stuff. Like, I realized recently, like, oh yeah, didn't, like, Naoto Oshima do work on Blink's the Time Sweeper?
Oh,
like,
shit.
I gotta play that.
Sonic
and so on
Sonic
and so
Flikes.
forth. Yeah.
Serenity Venus says, hello, you've mentioned you've watched Western animated shows before. And I was wondering, what is your favorite Western animated show?
I haven't finished
Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I haven't finished it, but OKKO, which is funny because there was a Sonic crossover episode.
You didn't finish it?
No, I think I got, like, halfway through season 3.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, there was a hiatus, and by the time it resumed, I don't think I had, like, access to how we were watching it or something like that.
I think I watched it without you.
Right, yeah, you did.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's great. I love that show.
That show flags really badly in the Enid Goes to School.
Yeah, that section is pretty rough.
That's a big old fat skip for me, I'm sorry to say, but everything else about that show I really enjoy. It's fun.
Yeah. I think
Sonic's in it.
Yeah. I heard recently that Ian JQ described the pacing that he was going for as Hanna-Barbanime.
Oh, no. He was saying that
Is that
kind of
what
like...
I'm remembering?
No. He was saying that the style of early original Cartoon Network cartoons has that vibe.
You were telling me that, yeah.
Yeah, our friend Gino taught me that in his new video he made about sound design and Cartoon Network cartoons. Yeah. So go check it out.
I think I was confusing that detail with something that my friend Wyatt had brought up separately about the pacing and timing of OKKO.
OKKO really succeeds where a lot of other things fail for me at wearing its influences very obviously on its sleeve without being embarrassing about it.
Yeah.
Or like being overly referential.
I feel that a lot of modern Western cartoons are sort of wearing their anime influences on their sleeve, or just like their influences across the board. And I think a lot of times it can feel sort of cloying, like it's kind of trying to catch.
Well, they like try to be cheeky about it.
Well, right.
In a
So
weird way.
it kind of comes off to me more that I'm supposed to recognize it and then clap.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like 90s shows that were very obviously inspired by those things were just doing it, not even thinking anybody would or could get the reference.
Yeah. They just did it because they liked it.
Yeah, and I feel like OKKO is a really successful return to that. Like, we're just kind of like putting the things that we love into this, but we're still making it our own, and we're not doing it in this sort of like leading way.
Yeah. I also don't mean to sound snobby in any way, but it also helps that it feels like the staff of OKKO consume more than just like the same 12 anime.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
they have a wide smattering of influences, and all those influences come across instead of feeling like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of media that is made by people who only consume that type of media can kind of start to feel incestuous in its tone.
Yeah, definitely. Or even like when I get the feeling that a lot of the influences that are being brought in are too contemporary, it feels really dated on impact. And I really appreciate that there are elements of OKKO's design and sensibilities and character archetypes that feel like they're pulled from, 80s Western cartoons, 90s anime, 2000s like web comics. Like it's really pulling from a lot of different decades and a lot of different mediums, and really refining all of those elements.
So I feel like one of my favorite like sort of jokes, I don't even know if you could call it a joke because it doesn't bring attention to itself, but like it's so emblematic of when OKKO is successful at this, is there's an episode where I'm really bad at remembering characters' names from things unless I've just watched it.
Yeah.
The blue alien guy.
Rad.
Where Rad and Shannon, the robot girl, the orange sassy teen robot
That sounds,
Shannon, is that her name?
Yeah, that's right.
Rad and Shannon like kind of like fall into this like Romeo and Juliet-esque romance, and it becomes like a musical where they like sing a song about wanting to be with each other. And Rad's singing voice is the singing voice of Donkey Kong from the Donkey Kong Country cartoons. And they specifically asked him to come in and be the singing voice of Rad because Ian liked the Donkey Kong Country cartoon.
I feel like the singer was really embarrassed when he found out that was where he knew him from.
Yeah. Well, because he's a theater guy. Yeah. That's like the thing he does. So I bet he gets like annoyed when people are like, "Oh, it's Donkey Kong!" Like,
completely understandable,
which is totally understandable. But I think that's such a good if you know, and if you don't, you're not missing anything.
Yeah,
and it's still just humorous on the face of like, oh, it's funny that they're doing this music number, and that Rad's voice totally is beautiful, changes. And like you kind of get the idea of the joke even without knowing the specifics. And I think that's such a good way of iterating on that and paying homage to things that, the people making it love.
Yeah, definitely. Full disclosure, I have a weird amount of acquaintances who worked on that show. I didn't even know that when I was watching it. And I watched at least some of it before I knew a lot of those people. Yeah. So
no nepotism here.
Yeah, there's no nepotism here.
I mean, to be honest, I have a lot of friends in the animation industry, and I respect the hustle above all else, but if I don't love a cartoon, I won't talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
We wouldn't bring up OKKO if we didn't genuinely like it.
Exactly.
What other Western cartoons have we watched?
There were things about Owl House Season 1 that I really liked.
Yeah. I had to get kind of past an initial cringe curve with it, which I have to do with a lot of kids' cartoons now.
I just genuinely think that it's a space that is not really for someone who values the things in art that I do a lot of the time, and that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it's totally okay for things to not be for you.
Yeah.
I just thought Ida was sexy.
She's so cute. I love her.
She's so cute.
I feel like, I mean, if we're talking about like older Western animated shows, I mean, honestly, I kind of just want to say Gem.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna help bring about the new wave of Gem fans. Gem and the Holograms also kind of, not in the same way, but in the same vein as Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. You watch it thinking, oh, this is gonna be another like cheap G.I. Joe era, like schlocky toy slinging cartoon. But you watch that show and you're like, what the fuck, because it just keeps going. And it's not necessarily well animated, but there's always visually really, a lot really going on.
Well animated segments, like you can tell, like the TMS episodes.
Oh yeah,
maybe it wouldn't have been TMS by that point.
I think it was Toei.
I think you're right. Because I think TMS may have already been devoured by Disney by that point.
Yeah. Most of Gem was animated. It was juggled between Japanese and Korean animation studios, and you can kind of see the style fluctuate here and there. You see it occasionally get more anime looking. But yeah, I mean, like, all the music segments are, like, really fascinating. It's got a huge cast of, in my opinion, genuinely compelling women with genuinely compelling relationships to each other.
There's so much more depth than I ever expected.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's, like, earth-shattering or anything, but for what it is and for the, like, cartoony tone that they continue to ride, the amount of like multifacetedness that its characters are allowed is pretty surpinging.
Well, it's also like a series that has a shocking amount of continuity with itself for a long-running American show. I mean, I'm not as well versed in cartoons of that particular time period as I should be, but I feel like compared to how episodic other cartoons tend to be.
Well, a lot of them, it was mandated for them to be strictly
I mean,
episodic.
That's still the case. A lot of American cartoons are strictly episodic or try very hard to function episodically, even if they are technically progressing a storyline. Which has to do with the value of rerunning and syndication. But Gem is very much so progression, and you very much so like see, you know, different story threads kind of pick up and be carried alongside other things happening.
Like the one really gay episode has like a lot of like I feel like that kind of has like a ripple that continues through the series from that point forward even.
It's also just got that like style, like kind of dumb but fun telenovela addictiveness.
It is so I know it's cliche to say, oh, what drugs were they on when they made this, but like if there wasn't like so much cocaine in the writers' room when that show was being assembled, then my fucking props to the energy that they harness.
So part of why I think, and I'm sure like every person who's ever talked about Gem and the Holograms has made this point, but like the woman who show ran it, whose name I'm blanking on because I'm bad with names.
Christine something? Christy
something. I think she previously was writing for G.I. Joe, and they were really afraid of turning off boys from watching Gem and the Holograms. So they brought her over because she had a good sense for upping the ante right before commercial break so that kids would continue watching.
I was originally going to describe this show as every cut to commercial break feels like a bump of coke.
Kind of, yeah. So the show kind of maintains that energy like almost throughout the entire series. Of like, just when you think there's an equilibrium being reached,
it is like almost like frustrating how bad things get for the characters sometimes. But in a way that I think is really kind of like funny. Like it really does run on a kind of manic impulse that is really hypnotic.
Hypnotic is definitely a word for it.
It's captivating.
I have endless good things to say about Gem and the Holograms.
We should just do a Gem video someday.
I think that would be so fun. Down.
Last one I'll shout out is I really love Roccos Modern Life. I think that Wacky Deli is one of the best, like, pure comedy episodes of animated television, period. I think it's really great.
I haven't seen that much of Rocco. I
don't think it would really hold up, you know? Yeah. Like, I think I've heard a lot of people who hadn't gone back to it describe it as, like, a poor man's Ren and Stimpy. I don't think it's a bad thing to be a poor man's Ren and Stimpy, though. Because Ren and Stimpy fucking sucks.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, you know, it's definitely a product of its time, and that's sort of like, let's do all this gross out stuff.
Sure.
But again, like, there's a kind of, like, frenetic energy to it. An almost sort of, like, symphony-esque approach to writing and sort of storyboarding a show like that I think is really impressive.
It feels boring to say this, but back when I started this was, like, a handful of years back, like before Hazel and I were even living together, we rewatched some early season SpongeBob, and I truly was, like, impressed by everything. Like, there's a reason people still reference SpongeBob as, like, profoundly and profusely as they do. Like, that series just really has a remarkable sense of humor that doesn't quite feel like anything else to me. Like, I couldn't pinpoint what Stephen Hillenburg's influences must be, because he just kind of creates an atmosphere and a tone that is totally its own thing.
Yeah, it felt like one of those rare examples of a writer's room where everybody was on the exact same wavelength.
Yeah, I mean, at least till a certain point in the series where obviously it shifted hands enough that it kind of changed tone entirely, but that's just some, like, capital C cartooning. Like, it's funny, it's cute, it's simple, it's engaging, it's well staged. It's not, like, high art. There's nothing about SpongeBob aside from, like, jokes that I, like, necessarily think about deeply.
Yeah.
You know, the characters never really get dug into in a way that made me feel any kind of particular deep pathos for them besides a surface level, like, fondness.
Yeah.
But it's good cartoon.
Yeah.
It's well-made cartoon.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
There are genuinely some jokes that, like, had me thinking, like, I don't know how they came up with this, but it's genius.
Yeah. I also do have to give it to the fact as well that, like, SpongeBob was kind of a nucleus that a lot of other really beloved shows sort of sprung off from.
Yeah.
The big example is, like, a guy like C.H. Greenblatt, who got his start writing for SpongeBob. He wrote the Dying for Pie episode, which is one of my favorites. And then obviously he went on to do Chowder and all that other stuff. And that, you know, then became, like, a fertile breeding ground for another generation of CalArts graduates and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Those are my answers.
I wish I had, like, a better answer for, like, an adult Western animated show. Oh, you know what? I'll say Mission Hill. I really like Mission Hill. Yeah. That's my one.
I'm basic. I enjoy good Simpsons, which I know sounds like cherry picking,
of course.
But, like,
that almost feels like such a classic example that it didn't even enter my mind.
When Simpsons is good, it, like, shocks me how good it is and how much it can make me feel about the characters.
Yeah. I'm a season 1 truther. I think season 1 is my favorite.
I think seasons 1 through 3 are all, like, a really solid watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Even by, like, season 3, you can kind of start seeing the, like, say the catchphrase Bartification start to come in.
Yeah. Like, there's, like, a really, like, the Flaming Moe episode is, like, really beloved, but I think that episode kind of sucks.
Which one was that?
It's the one with Aerosmith.
Oh my god. Fucking Aerosmith.
Yeah. But, I mean, I think there's kind of a weird sudden sort of lull midway through season 3 or 4, but then it ramps right back up and gets really good again.
Yeah, I remember 5... Season 5, I think, being really good.
Yeah, 5 or 6, I remember being like, wow, this is amazing. And Bill Oakley and, Oakley and Weinstein, I can't remember what their first names are. The guys who created Mission Hill met working on The Simpsons, I think.
That's cool.
Or at least one of them was a Simpsons writer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Wow, we actually talked a lot about Western cartoons.
Yeah. I think we entered that saying like, oh, I don't really know that I have that many.
I don't like that many. Names 20 cartoons.
Yeah.
Cat Stasher says, what are your favorite instances of video games being adapted into movies or TV by a Japanese company and instances of them being adapted by Western companies? Do you think those specific examples could have only been as good as they are because they are handled by that region?
I feel like a Japanese-made Super Mario Brothers movie would not have felt like the American Mario Brothers movie.
I fucking love the American Mario Brothers movie.
I think that movie is fucking awesome.
I'm an American Mario Brothers movie truther.
So am I. In addition, I don't know that I've seen too many like live action video game movies that have come out of Japan. Like I haven't seen the trilogy of fucking Takashi Miike Ace Attorney movies or anything like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Did I see the first one? I think I saw the first one.
That sounds right.
I think I saw the first one. I remember thinking that it was refreshing that it was still as goofy as it was.
Right, yeah.
And I found it innovative, some of the ways they decided to visualize certain aspects of the game that weren't necessarily like logical.
Right.
Like, oh, how is Nick showing certain things to them? How are certain like mechanics of the court gonna play out in like a real world setting?
Right.
I don't remember too much about it beyond that though. I think maybe I felt like some of the humor and characters was a little flat compared to the game, but it's been so long since I watched it.
Yeah, I'm sure there are others that I've seen that I've
fucking Professor Layton movie is weird.
That is such a fucking strange movie.
I liked it so much when it came out just because I was like, wow, Professor Layton in a full-length animated movie. But rewatching it recently, I was like, what the fuck is this movie trying to do? Like, where are we going? Where are you taking me?
It's got all of the complexity of a Metal Gear game, but without the kind of like real world implications and like emotional implications that make that compelling.
It's kind of a nothing movie, and I don't know if that's necessary. I mean, I didn't like it, but
I had a blast watching it.
Yeah.
Even when I was at that point where I was like, all right, this has lost me. Like, I can't care about this anymore.
Yeah.
The spectacle of it being as weird as it was made it more compelling in a roundabout way.
Yeah. Video game movies.
I just feel like specifically American, since I don't know that there are too many like Australian or British made video game movies. I just feel like Japanese and American cinematic tendencies are really fundamentally different, and I do feel like certain games are better suited for one than the other.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like for when it came out, the Mario Brothers movie being American is like so perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I can't really imagine. Well, and I guess we're gonna find no, because that's still American.
It's French.
No, I was gonna say the Illumination.
Yeah, Illumination's French.
They're French?
Yeah, that's why the Minions are like that.
What do you mean like that?
Rabbids are French too. The French are an artless people.
What do you mean?
The Minions are so French. Minions are French. Fucking Rabbids are from Ubisoft. They're French. They're the same. They're the same. They're the same kind of character.
I don't comprehend how they're very French, though.
Well, I mean, just look at the design sensibilities that the French animated pictures have. It all comes back to Rabbids. I'm sure it's some fucking Asterix and Obelisk fucking comic thing.
You're speaking in tongues to me right now.
Fucking... That's just what French things look like.
Hazel French racism moments.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I just like video game movies. I think whether they're good or bad, it's fun to see video games expanded into a full narrative.
Yeah. That Monster Hunter movie sucks shit, though.
Oh my god, that Monster Hunter movie is like maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Yeah. And it's the worst possible type of bad where it's not even bad, funny.
It was completely...
It is nothing that, like, calling it a nothing burger would imply more types of flavor within that movie than there are present.
It doesn't even have buns, so it
there
can't
are
be a
no
nothing
buns.
burger.
It's just like air burger.
Yeah.
Nothing.
You know
stale,
how donkeys...
deprivation chamber burger.
It's dangerous if donkeys swallow too much air because it makes their stomachs full and they don't eat, and so they'll starve. That was how that movie made me feel.
I learned recently that rats can't throw up. So
yeah, a weird amount of animals can't.
Yeah, so like if they get anything stuck in their throat, they're just kind of shit out of luck.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
You gotta massage it until it... Bleh.
Yeah, I didn't even feel that much about the Monster Hunter movie.
Yeah,
like, I didn't even have peanut butter stuck in my throat. It was just nothing.
Yeah.
Fuck that fucking movie. Fucking wasted 12 hours of my life.
That being said...
It felt so goddamn long.
It did. That being said, I think that his, the first Resident Evil movie is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that movie's super fun.
Yeah.
Morpheus says, since we're on a Sonic kick, what are your thoughts on Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 getting relisted on the Xbox 360 Live Store, albeit with no backwards compatibility with the Xbox One or Series X? Xbox moment... after nearly 12 years of being delisted from the store back in 2010. This is like a series of 12 different new informations for me. While I think it sucks there is no backwards compatibility, though there's hoping for an update, I think it's marvelous that such a masterpiece of suck is being made in some way or form available again. Also, props to Microsoft for keeping its 360 storefront open.
I really, really hope that this means the game can get a little cheaper.
Yeah, that game is weirdly expensive.
It's, I don't want to pay $20 for it at a used game store. I'm sure it's more expensive now, even. Yeah, I mean, it's great for the sake of preservation that it's there and that it's accessible. I'm so baffled by how that came to be. Yeah. Like, without backwards compatibility, no less. So fascinating.
I still don't understand what the fuck Xbox consoles are.
Don't worry about it.
In my mind, there are like 3 brand new Xboxes and they all do different things and I don't know what those things are, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask.
It's not. Your brain is better off not being crowded with the information on what the difference is.
Like I have limited hard drive space. I'm not fucking
exactly
downloading 10 gigabytes of understanding what the fuck Xbox is doing.
Yeah, what the difference between an Xbox Series S and an Xbox Series X is. Fuck off.
Fuck off. If you thought Wii and Wii U was confusing.
Oh my god, yeah. How the fuck? People were like, Nintendo fucking doomed that thing by giving it a bad, confusing name.
I mean, I do think that, like, the Wii was the era of parents and grandparents playing video games. And
like, nobody's grandpa knows the difference between the fucking Xbox One and the OG Xbox. Yeah,
so I totally get it. Okay, well, I don't know what all that means, but good for Sonic 06.
I wish I had written down how to pronounce their
I know
name.
you wrote it last name.
Siobhan?
Siobhan. I think it's
Siobhan. I think so.
Your name is beautiful. I'm sorry, I always forget how to pronounce it. Do either of you have a top 3 favorite anime figure? Oh, fuck.
I've got literally exactly 3 on my desk that I keep to look at because I like them so much. I've got a Gunslinger Girl figure that I found at Al's in sunny Seattle, Washington.
Woo!
It felt very serendipitous that I saw her there. I wasn't sure how long she'd been in there for, but I rescued her. I took her home. I have a figure of Arcuid from, well, the figure is from like a melty bloodline of figures, but obviously she's
Tsukihime.
Yeah.
Tits are so pointy. They're cute.
Yeah. They kind of look like that in game too.
Yeah.
Just because I can't remember the artist's name, but the artist's art style is very sort of like lots of straight lines with like kind of angular curves at each intersecting point.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and then I have a figure of Kagami from Lucky Star.
in her summer uniform.
I mean, that was just the one that I saw online. I think they made the one of the same pose in her winter uniform, which theoretically I would have liked more. I think the winter uniform is cuter.
It's more iconic.
Yeah. And then I also have this darling little Terriermon plush on my desk.
That's not a figure.
That's not a figure, so it doesn't count. I also really do have to give it to the first anime figure that I ever had, which was a figure of Noriko from Gunbuster.
Oh yeah, she's cute.
A friend got for me as a gift. It's the Bomei one.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
I love that sculptor.
Yeah.
I have this beautiful figure of Kagami no Rin sitting on a cherry blossom tree that Hazel generously got for me for, was it my birthday or anniversary?
I think it might have been Christmas.
It might have been Christmas.
I think it was Christmas.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're very generous. That one's definitely one of my favorites. It's actually Hazel's figure, but I like her a lot. She has the big statue figure of Chiaki Nanami.
Right, yeah.
With Monomi in the TV screen.
Yeah.
I just think that figure's fun to look at.
Yeah. That's one of the only figures that we have set up on our, like, entertainment center. Just because it's so good looking as, like, a centerpiece.
Yeah, well, she's with all the video game systems, so it's cute.
Yeah.
And this is a weird one, but one of the ones that I have that I'm the most fond of is actually a noodle stopper.
Like
the figures that are meant to sit on the cup, the edge of a cup of noodles while they're heating up. Specifically Villain Miku. So she's got like a little black dress and horns and stuff.
She's got pointy teeth.
She was cheap. She was like $30 or something.
No, I think she was like $15. It was
I
really
might have gotten her
crazy.
cheaper than that. Even.
Yeah.
She's so cheap, but she's so cutely made, and I like how perfectly she sits on the edge of things. So I'm fond of her for that reason.
Yeah.
Those are probably my top 3 that I own.
I really like the multi figure that you have.
I love that multi. Yeah, that multi is also... I think I like figures that I can just kind of like integrate into my space. So like the multi is like sitting, so I can kind of like
she's easier to kind of slot into.
Yeah.
Whereas like where I have one of my figures, her head is kind of cutting off part of my second monitor. But
it's fine.
She's more important than anything else I have on that screen.
As far as figures in general, I don't know. There's a million figures in the world. I feel like I have like maybe 1 or 2 like quote unquote grails that I would love to have someday, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head, so apparently they're not that important.
I had one, but I got it recently.
Which one?
Well, you know which one it was. It was the Momoko doll.
Oh, yeah. That's a doll, not a figure. Well, it's just...
Well, I know. That's kind of a different realm, but I think like...
I'm way more into dolls and plushes these days than I am figures.
Yeah.
But... I'm growing a fondness for like garage kits and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't actually own any except for an accidentally bootleg Lum that I got, and I've regretted my life because she's miserable to try to put together she's such a badly molded bootleg. Yeah, don't buy bootleg model kits no matter how cheap they are. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all the big ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do really like my Pinky Street Asuka.
Oh, she's cute.
Pinky Street, just that scale, that shape is so fucking cute.
It's so iconic. I'm surprised they don't still make them. I feel like people go crazy for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they see a resurgence at some point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like, so Nendroids have been doing, like, a Nendroid doll line.
Right.
Which is where they give them... I don't think it's technically an Obitsu 11 body, but it's basically the same scale and type of thing of, like, giving a Nendroid head a small, posable body. And I think that those proportions are much cuter than your typical Nendroid body.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's fun because you can pose them proper. And they come with, like, fabric clothes rather than molded clothes.
Right.
So that's kind of fun because then you can, like, exchange clothes. I think the fun of Nendroids for a lot of people is, like, the exchangeability of things like props and faces and
It's funny
hair.
to think that I've never seen, like, really labor-intensive kind of, like, Nendoroid kit bashes.
There is a scene for custom Nendroids that I've only just recently become privy to. But I really think the uprising of Nendroid dolls has popularized that even more.
That makes sense,
like,
yeah. Well, that's more of like an external customization thing. Like, I'm thinking purely like mix and match sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that Nendroid has had like a lot of different versions with different mold shapes.
That is true.
So like our old Nendroids are not compatible with the pegs and whatever on
Right.
But yeah. Hardy Fella says, what language, excluding English and Japanese, are you the most interested in and or curious about when it comes to dubbing?
Honestly, like, the weirder the better. I really am fascinated by Tagalog dubs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kayla was telling me just the other day that Ray Earth was so popular in the Philippines that, like, it was just, like, incredibly popular, like, the Tagalog dub.
Right.
Like, everyone, like, grew up with it, and it, like, aired all the time.
Yeah, I remember hearing that there was a dub for Ultraman, or maybe it was Ultra 7, or maybe both, that was done for Hawaiian audiences. Like, obviously, like, in English, but it aired on, like, a local, like, centralized Hawaiian TV networks.
That's cute.
And it was such a phenomenon there that I want to say there's, like, an annual event that's held every year, some sort of cultural thing, or maybe it was like a particular political figure who used Ultraman's music every year, just by happenstance, and like everybody knows all the words to the song, or something like that. I wish I remembered the specifics a little more. But honestly, like, in general, the dubs that I really am fascinated by are the ones that are like they were done in like somebody's like shower.
The like ostensibly not officially sanctioned ones.
Yeah. Like Pat Mac's video about regional DVDs, he gets into a lot of really wild, borderline, like, we don't really know if it's official or not, airings of SpongeBob in other countries. Like the Iranian dub is put into question, in particular its legitimacy, because they overdubbed the original audio and left it in there but quiet. They just like turned down anytime
characters are talking. You know, it's crazy, someone fact check me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe SpongeBob only just recently started getting dubbed in full in Japan.
So it was like 2013, I think.
Oh, okay. In my mind...
Or maybe it was 2015. Maybe even 2017.
Yeah. In my mind, it was more recent than that. But either way, it's, like, crazy because it, like, kind of created a new wave of, like, Japanese SpongeBob fans. I also don't, like, have any actual interest in specifically looking into them, but just the phenomenon of Italians being really huge into anime is really charming to me.
I mean, they got all the banger theme songs.
Yeah, everyone knows about all the Italian theme songs being unique. But yeah, Italy and France to some degree, it seems, were hip to anime long before we were. And again, fact check me in the comments if I'm wrong about this, but my understanding is that, like, maybe, like, some politician or something, like, traveled to Japan and brought, like, anime back with him because he thought it was so cool. And that, like, kind of partly facilitated it.
How interesting.
Coming to Italy sooner than, like, a lot of other Western countries.
Right. Because I know with France, like, obviously France and Japan have had a really long-standing relationship between them.
Yeah.
So that connection made a little more sense, but Italy always seemed a little...
I believe it was an Italian politician or something like that. Maybe it was just like a TV studio manager or
kind of like what happened with
like
Saban.
Where he just went overseas and was like, wow, this anime shit's really cool, let's bring it over here and dub it. But you'll find like a lot of like old guard anime Italian fan sites, which I find incredibly cute.
If anybody knows about this, I'm currently on the hunt to confirm the existence of a Tagalog dub of Lucky Star.
Oh, shit.
I think I was telling you about this.
Yeah.
I had a dream that I was working on a video specifically defending Lucky Star's dub, which I don't like. But in this dream, it was like a totally different dub that was like way more organic sounding. It was so weird. This dream came to me like a day after I went on partial hiatus. Where like in this dream, this dub had like one of the points that I made in favor of it was like, there are scenes where you can hear like basically like outtake audio of like the characters laughing at the lines but they kept it in anyway. And it creates this very, like, authentic feel, which obviously doesn't happen in the actual dub at all. So when I woke up, I randomly found myself, like, just Google searching to see what other dubs it had. And I saw that there are claims that there's a Tagalog dub. There's a review of the Tagalog language version of the series by, like, a WordPress operated out of the Philippines. But I couldn't find a single clip.
Huh, fascinating.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's real or not, but I'm very fascinated.
Well, hit us up if any of you find
Yeah, if anybody knows about that, if anyone was there.
That's cute. Elias Rosner says, since you roll pretty deep with all things Sonic, which Sonic character do you wish there was more of, / a wider knowledge of within the general public who's heard of Sonic? Let me think about this for a minute.
What's her name, Maureen?
The not sticks.
Yeah. I think she's cute.
She's pretty cute. I don't remember anything about her, though.
Yeah, that's the problem.
She's kind of like, well, like, in terms of, like, I remember her not really having a personality.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm interpreting the question to be, like, who do you wish kind of had, like, a better kind of moment in the sun?
I mean, she's gotten some cute little, like, revivals, but I would love to see even more of Honey Cat.
Oh, yeah. She's my answer for sure. Yeah. Honey the cat is unstoppable.
Yeah.
An unstoppable force.
Bring back fucking Techno the bird or whatever.
Oh,
Techno.
from the UK comic. Yeah, little bird lesbian.
Yeah, bring her back.
Yeah.
I like want to come up with like a weird deep cut, but I guess Techno kind of is.
Yeah.
To some degree.
For us here.
Bring back Bokun. No.
I forgot about Bokun. Bring back Chris Thorndike's maid.
She's kind of a MILF. Free blog. I'm thinking. I'm running through the database of all the Sonic characters in my mind.
I want to see more Vanilla.
Yeah.
Mom.
Okay, yeah, I actually genuinely would like to see more of Vanilla. I've always been...
No, if we want to talk about a MILF.
Kind of a MILF. Yeah. Actually a MILF. Alright, next question. Logan Davila Sanabria says, are either of you into Xenoblade or the Brado Xeno series? If so, which particular games are your favorites and which would you like to play in the future? If not, which appeals the most to you from the outside?
Kyle, the friend of mine who I've been doing all of the Sonic streams with, is a big Xeno head, so if you want to hear unsolicited Xenoblade opinions, listening through those streams is a pretty good way to do so. I am afraid of Xenogears. That game is very daunting to me. I should be more daunted by the Xenosaga games, but I have a weird sense of fascination with them because everybody has kind of heard the name Xenosaga. Like, everybody who's invested in the PS2 library knows about it, knows that it's a trilogy, but the amount of, like, screen caps or footage I've come across in the wild of them is so scant that they are complete and utter fucking mysteries to me. So I'd like to get deeper into that someday.
Like I know nothing about the Xeno series except that the little blonde bitch is in Smash Brothers.
Shulk. Yeah.
Shulker box. Linus Witt says, totally unrelated to Sonic, but how do you go about thinking about media that doesn't fully connect with you in order to figure out why you don't click with it? It's so tantalizing for me whenever I watch some live-action high fantasy or hard sci-fi thing or anything I don't vibe with, and I can appreciate all the design and skill that's gone into making it, and I can see why people like it, but there's just not enough there that I'm into, or there's some quality to it that bugs me that I can't identify. If you can relate, how do you think about that kind of media in order to identify what the disconnect for you is? Thanks for the great video. Also, what's your favorite Sonic Underground song?
I can't think of a single one offhand.
The only Sonic Underground song I remember, my brother must have had this episode on a DVD or something and rewatched it all the time, is the one where they're singing about how they wish they could go faster, like Sonic and Manic and Sonia are like wishing they were fast. It's like, wish I could go faster, really wish I was the fastest thing alive. And it's like, it's okay, it's a fine song.
Yeah, it's
not the worst. It's not as bad as the fucking reggae they do sometimes.
Sonic Underground is also a French co-production. I'm telling you, French art is just like that. I'm telling you.
I guess I kind of see the through
French
line
cartooning
here.
is just ugly, implicitly.
I mean, there's a lot of really beautiful French cartoons, too, though.
Yeah, wasn't Mobius French?
Mobius?
Yeah, the illustrator.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Media that doesn't connect to you. I
feel like oftentimes it'll either turn into a video because I just need to articulate those thoughts, or I just kind of file them away. And I've talked about it before, but there are times where something has not clicked with me, but over time I've come to really appreciate that it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I say that Ocean Waves is one of my favorite Ghibli movies. Like, I don't even remember that much about it. I just remember being left with this feeling of like this lack of closure in my reaction to it that has continued to kind of extrapolate over time.
Yeah. Well, that's why I continue to posit that things that, like, don't necessarily resolve satisfyingly are also the ones that end up living in your head rent-free because you can't stop pondering it and thinking about how you wanted it to go.
Yeah.
What about it did or didn't work for you, and then, like, in thinking about it so much, you Stockholm Syndrome yourself into thinking you like it more than you do. I feel like I feel that way about so many things. Like, Star Wars Episode 9 fucking sucks dick, but...
9? Or...
9. Yeah, the Rise of Skywalker.
No, that's
the last one.
Yeah, that's 12, isn't it?
12? What the fuck? There are 3 trilogies.
No, you're right.
There are 3 trilogies. These
9 doesn't sound like enough numbers.
Hazel's making another fucking trilogy in her brain.
There fucking might as well be.
Yeah, I mean,
every time I blink,
spin-offs.
there's a new fucking spin-off movie.
I know. Star Wars Episode 9 fucking sucks, but that trilogy is weird in that it's not good, but it's forced me to think about it more than any other Star Wars media, and in thinking about it so much, I kind of like it, even though I know I shouldn't. So, like...
It's got a Shadow the Hedgehog XP in it. You can just say that that's why you like it.
I mean, not quite.
No, I'm kidding.
But I do like edgy goth boys. But yeah, I think with, like, a lot of media that didn't click with me, I Stockholm myself into liking it because I think about it so much. Or I feel like at this age, not to sound old, but like I'm pretty good at articulating what about something didn't work for me.
Yeah, like by virtue of it being my career to articulate my feelings on things, I do find that when I do come across something that really baffles me, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's like almost special for throwing you for enough of a loop that you don't even know why you don't like it. Exactly. And then that's usually when I Stockholm myself into thinking I love it, because I'm like, whoa, nothing's ever challenged me like this before.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember the last time I engaged with something that, like, baffled me and how much I didn't like it, except for, like, I guess maybe Vlad Love. Because everything about it I was expecting to like, so when I didn't, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why did it happen this way? Oh no, don't die.
I inhaled wrong.
Oh no, don't inhale wrong. Inhale right.
Okay, I will.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's also just, like, a lot of stuff that I watch, and I'm like, this is definitely not made for me, and that's fine. I have no stakes in the fact that I didn't like it, you know? I think a lot of male coming-of-age-esque narratives kind of, I've come to realize, I don't relate to them at all, and to a degree that I almost can't even pretend to empathize for them, so I just often don't like them. But it's not like I'm like, oh, well, clearly they're just bad. It's just like, they're not for me, so it's fine that I don't. A lot of sci-fi, like hard sci-fi and action is not for me. So it's like, you know, I can watch it.
There were definitely some things where it took me a long time to realize that I didn't actually like them.
Yeah.
Like, I thought I cared about shonen for a long time.
Yeah.
But I actually super don't.
You and I have both individually tried really hard to force ourselves to get into mech.
Yeah, and it's just never worked for me.
I can, like, superficially enjoy things about certain types of mech, and, like, I enjoy people who enjoy mech.
Yeah,
like, when I meet someone who's deep into Gundam or whatever, I'm like, hell yeah. I don't relate at all, but, like, I'm happy for you, and I enjoy hearing people talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I don't know. Yeah, sometimes you just bump into something, you're like, this isn't my thing, but that's okay. All right. Jay Casillas says, Hazel, every now and again, when I listen to one of your Q&A videos or an episode of your podcast, you mention how you put something on in the background as you edit. Every time you mention this, it blows my mind. As someone who edits myself, I can't imagine how you manage to have something else making noise as you edit. Granted, I edit short films and documentaries, so maybe it's just the difference in what we're editing. How do you manage to do that?
I'm really, really anal. I'm a huge pervert when I'm in the editing phase, so I tend to scrub through things and then go frame by frame to decide where they should start and end. So there's a lot of downtime where I'm not hearing anything, where, like, basically the way I edit is I listen to a snippet of my narration and I go, okay, what footage do I need to put over this? And I go and I find it, I scrub through it, I download it if I need it, whatever. And then I drop it in and then I listen to the next bit, you know. So it's kind of procedural in that way where I don't really need to listen to the audio that much.
Yeah, you have a lot of downtime where you're just kind of digging around.
Yeah, and also I go fucking crazy if I have to listen to myself prattle on endlessly too much.
Kramer says, easy random question. Do you and or Alyssa have tattoos? What are they and did they hurt? Lol.
I've got two. I've got a Brave Little Abacus tattoo and I've got an Aku no Hana tattoo. It's going to sound very perverted the way I answer this question, but like if they hurt, it was in a way that I found kind of satisfying. Like, I sort of enjoyed the kind of like the experience, the sensation. That sounds so bad. It's fine.
I kind of know what you mean. I have no tattoos because I'm so afraid of pain that it took me until my late 20s to finally nut up and get ears pierced. And even then I bitched for like the entire week after the fact about how much it hurt still.
Yeah.
I'm just very sensitive, especially with needles. That being said, I want to get a tattoo of baby Snoopy, like matching tattoos with Hazel.
Yeah, we have you've done the design and everything. We have matching tattoo design in mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someday. When I have money again. Bimmy says, real talk, favorite Weezer album?
That's the Blue album. I know that answer sucks. Props to the Red album for being really fucking weird, and props to Maladroit for being really consistent in an era where people insist nothing they were making was good. But I gotta give it to the Blue album.
I've never listened to Weezer.
You're better off.
Maverick says, just listening to the new Pod Spirit, you mentioned recently listening to Set Yourself on Fire by Stars, which I'd consider my first album listened to in full instead of just shuffling through songs. What would you call your first album, full album listen, and what albums can you only listen to start to finish if you have any? We were just talking recently about albums that we listened to from start to finish.
I can't remember what my first was. It might have been the Blue album.
Mine was the Powerpuff Girls Power Pop CD.
Heroes and Villains.
Heroes and Villains. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
I think I bought that CD with my own allowance.
Yeah.
And I was really excited about it.
Yeah. As far as albums that I always listen to in full, I tend to be somebody who will alternate listening to a full album or to individual songs if I like the album.
Yeah.
Like, if I really like the album, it's not going to preclude me from listening to one song in particular.
Yeah, I'm kind of a pervert about hits only. When I was a kid, I would download albums and then go through them once and then delete all the songs I thought was boring and never listen to those songs again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Which in part was because computer space was limited, so I was like, I'm only downloading the songs that I love. I'm not going to waste a bunch of space on songs I don't listen to.
Well, Sheena Ringo has never written a bad song, so all of her albums are usually full listens for me.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of my big one.
Sadly, I didn't like Neon that much, but otherwise, well, and I liked the singles from it, but Eerie, every single album she's put out for the most part.
Is Neon her newest one?
Yeah, I think it came out this year.
What didn't you like about it?
There's just too many slow songs. I'm kind of a bitch about not liking slow songs.
Flow is really important.
Yeah.
You gotta find the right balance of slower stuff.
I'm just a singles asshole. I love songs that can be singles. I like standouty pop songs.
I mean, I feel very much so the same way. I think it's probably very reflected in my music.
Yeah.
Everything sounds like it could be the single.
Listen to Eerie. I'm literally grabbing everyone by the shoulders and begging them to listen to Eerie.
It literally takes you four keystrokes. I enter.
Yeah.
And then you're there.
Listen to her. She's sexy, and her voice is sexy, and her music is sexy. I listened to a lot of Beatles as a kid, too. I would borrow Beatles CDs from my dad and sit in my room on the floor in front of my CD player and open the little booklets and read the lyrics along to the songs and
that's so cute.
And wonder what the fuck they were about and use my little child brain that had no concept of drugs and imagine what the songs meant. So
that's so cute.
I still have a lot of fondness for Beatles, even though I don't really listen to them now because they sort of tickled my child brain in a lot of different ways.
I wish all of our CDs weren't packed so I could look. I mean, every Midori record is a start to finish for me.
Yeah. Read Only Memory. Random Access Memories. God damn it. Random Access Memories by Daft Punk is a front to back listen to me usually.
Oh man. I mean, pretty much any of my favorite bands have at least one album that's a good start to finish. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I used to be a real stickler about full album listens. I just don't have the time.
Yeah, I know.
Like when I was listening to full albums, it was when I was in high school and I had long stretches of time where I needed to listen to things unbroken.
Kiko's entire discography is like a hit for me. There's like maybe 2 or 3 Kiko songs that I don't even necessarily dislike. I just skip them.
Yeah.
But
yeah, he's great.
He's got a huge discography, so that's
so
really
prolific.
Saying
it's
something.
crazy. Yeah.
Zoomer moment, but I think Lemon Demon Spirit Phone is a enjoyable listen.
I love
from
that
front to back.
You saying Zoomer moment makes it sound like you are the Zoomer between us, which isn't even. Neither of us are.
Between you and I, the one more likely to enjoy things that Zoomers enjoy is me.
Yeah,
I feel like.
Yeah, you are a little Zoomer coded. You got Five Nights at Freddy's. You got fucking Lemon Demon. I say none of these things disparagingly.
That's all.
I think it's funny. Oh, and fucking what is it, Enna?
Oh yeah,
that's a Zoomer thing.
Yeah, it super is.
Yeah.
I just like her. I just think she's neat. Yeah, I like music.
Me too.
Gino says, kind of curious, how far in advance do you plan the editing for a video? Like, is a video script mostly plain text and you figure out what clips to show during the editing process, or do you script out what clips to show during certain paragraphs / sentences?
I use Google Docs for scripting, both because I can easily switch them from my phone and my computer.
Yeah.
But also because it allows me to add comments.
Yeah, I use the comments feature on Google Docs a lot.
Yeah, so I'll add a comment for like, say the line this way, or
show this meme.
Yeah, show this, or like use footage from this piece of media. I've also gotten to the habit of highlighting in orange names of things I know I'm gonna need footage for in my script, so that I can go through when I'm doing the second pass and go, okay, I need to pluck that out, I need to download that, I need to ask somebody to send me this, I need to go in and capture footage of this. So
smart. Yeah, for me, it's usually a mix of both. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I'll figure it out when I'm editing, and I have a distinct vision for
yeah,
this.
Yeah. It's certainly not everything that comes to me vividly.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't write how to pronounce this name. I forgot already.
Oh, it was Saoirse, right?
Saoirse?
Saoirse.
Saoirse says, in an alternate universe, what long-running game series are you marathoning that isn't Sonic?
Gosh. There are a lot that I would really like to. Pokemon. I really love Pokemon. It's like a really easy one in the sense that it doesn't necessarily take a lot of, like, hard thinking to go through those. As far as, like, really, like, long-running stuff, yeah, I think that's probably the other big one.
In an alternate universe, I get fluent at reading Japanese just so I can stream every single Metabots video game has never been localized.
There's so many of them. But they're all kids' games. I guarantee you could get through all of them with your level of fluency.
It's probably less the reading and more the what's the word? Vocab.
Yeah. Well, that's it's like you can know enough of a language, or like enough of how to navigate processing a language that you can kind of like brute force your way through certain things.
That's true.
But then it's like it's so much slower that way that it's almost like unbearable.
Well, by myself it's one thing. On a stream it's like I wouldn't do that unless I was semi-fluent.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, I played Earthbound in Japanese before I played it in English, and that's arguably a much more abstract game to figure out than Metabots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Mate Malasevic says, 2 questions. Do you ever watch any 70s era anime, or is it inherently just too janky nowadays? And what's your research workflow for rabbit holes of 30-year-old random Japanese stuff, such as This Rumor or Orisa?
I like a lot of 70s anime. A lot. This year I watched the original Gundam from 79, and I thought it was incredible, and I loved it a lot. And I watched Anne of Green Gables, and I thought it was incredible, and I loved it a lot. I would like to know more, you know? Like, I would really like to sit down with... I mean, there's a lot of anime from that era and from the 80s that aren't based in manga that I would really like to watch for their historical significance. Like Aim for the Ace. That's a big one. And then as far as my research workflow, a lot of it is just kind of like... How would I even describe it? It's like... You're going vertically down, like you're digging down, and every now and again you come across like an entryway horizontally for you to go down, and sometimes you need to stop what you're doing and go down that, and then you say, I'll come back to my original hole and go a little deeper later.
It's just like mining for diamonds in Minecraft.
Yeah, and other times you just kind of like put a torch there for you to come back to later. I guess this is just one big Minecraft analogy.
Yeah,
it wasn't intentional, but every search kind of requires a different approach. Sometimes I really need to dig through certain websites or like forums or whatever by hand, because you just can't like brute force your way into searching it. And then other times, it's like I'll Google something and then I'll use the really like advanced like search options to search from it from 1999 to 2003 or whatever range I'm looking for stuff in. It really all depends, and it's something that I'm always kind of trying to get better at.
You're good at it. I feel like you have a good process for organizing that kind of thing. Julian AV says, sorry, like, usually by the end of these Q&As, I'm getting, like, hungry, but this time I'm getting sleepy.
We're almost done.
I went to bed at like 5 a.m.
Yeah, so. We're almost done.
I'm running out of steam here. Julian AV says, I noticed you started using a lot more of the Clannad OST in your recent videos. What's your opinion on Clannad? It's one of my favorite anime ever, so I'm curious to hear your take on it.
I played a little bit of the visual novel last year, and I was really, really smitten by it. And then I went ahead and watched the anime after watching the other two key
visual novel
adaptations by Kyoani. I haven't seen After Story yet, but I've seen the original series in full, and I really adored it. I thought it was like that adaptation is just like so fucking tightly put together as an adaptation of a really long visual novel. Like, it is so impressive.
Yeah, in general, when I see visual novel adaptations, I'm always like, oh boy, all right, lads, how are we condensing this information and all the like branching paths? Like, what how are we doing it?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
I feel bad because Clannad is actually the only one I haven't watched in whole. I think maybe I watched a couple episodes, but I watched all of Canon and I watched all of Air.
I think Clannad is the best, but Air is my favorite.
I liked Air a lot. I just liked the aunt.
Air is really, really sloppy.
Yeah.
It's really messy as an adaptation and as an original story, but I think that disarmed me in a way that I wasn't expecting, and kind of like hit me somewhere very, very deep that I wasn't expecting to be hit by.
Yeah.
I think that Air is it's like obviously, like, they had made Kanon before, so it's not like it was their first visual novel, but it feels like one of those things that is kind of like, I mean, I think I've described Fire Punch this way, where it's like messy by virtue of just needing to get it out all out on the paper, you know? Just kind of having something to say and kind of having a disregard for how you say it, just so long as it's said at all. But yeah, I think that the Clannad is definitely like their best adaptation and their best visual novel out of the Seasons trilogy. Kyo is my favorite.
Hell yeah. Taste Taver. Arbitrary Water says, are there any noteworthy Japanese dubs of English or other language cartoons you found while researching this feature?
No. I had already known about the Code Lyoko dub from a conversation with a different friend of mine. But that was kind of it. That came up in research anyway.
Yeah. Trying to think of, I mean, I already brought it up, but SpongeBob getting a Japanese dub late in the game is kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Platon Pizza 3000 says, as a French person, oh god, this person's already deleted their Patron pledge. Like, man, fuck this Hazel bitch. Fucking hates French people so much.
I don't hate French people. I just hate their animation. That's not true. I'm kidding. It's jokes. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Oh! Hazel digs a hole and then digs faster.
It's jokes.
As a French person, I had a panic attack when I heard Yukido's French voice in your video, Lamau. I was wondering if you were aware of the history of early otaku culture in Europe.
I would like to know more. I know the Sparks Notes version, so to speak. I would really like to know more about it. Same with the Latin America. Again, I feel like I know the Sparks Notes for Latin America's relationship to anime, but I would really like to know more.
Anime around the world. That'd be a fun video.
Yeah. I agree.
Someone else make that.
Yeah.
Kieran says, what are some thoughts you have on concept albums?
I feel like oftentimes they kind of intimidate me. Like, if I hear that something's a concept record, I'm like, oh god, I gotta pay attention.
I like them. I feel like I had a phase where, and I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I feel like I had a phase where I was really fascinated by concept albums. I like albums that every song can stand on its own, but you could also kind of see them all as like kind of a linked narrative.
Spilt Milk.
Yes.
Spilt Milk by Jellyfish is, I think, the platonic ideal of a concept record.
Technically a
it
concept?
Is. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, if you listen through the lyrics, like, there's a lot of recurring motifs, and the record is structured so that it loops infinitely.
That's true.
Like a lot of the themes, like the subject of New Mistake is depicted on the album cover. Like that's the baby. Like that's the kid that is had. Like it's I think that I tend to more prefer, though, in general, concept records that are concept in their what's the word? In their not in their rigor. What is the word I'm looking for? Like in their form, in their creation. And how they're made.
Are any Yes albums technically concept albums?
I think like every prog rock record counts as a concept record.
I was just thinking, Kale was talking about just like how fucking good John writes lyrics. Whatever psychotic thing he said about like, I choose words based on their color or whatever.
I feel it. I feel it.
I see what he means. Like there's a poetry to the way he structures his thoughts.
Like I think about stuff like albums like The Third Big Star or oh my god, it is Big Star, right? That is the name of the band. I adore that band. Why am I blanking on the name? Big Star.
Yeah. Lucky Star. No. The Third Big Star record being made while the band was like actively falling apart, I think is really compelling for that reason. Or like, I can't remember which one, but there's an Animal Collective record that was written with a tuning that was entirely based around a fucked up piano that they like found at a friend's house. Like that kind of approach to making a concept record, rather than it being a concept in terms of its narrative, I think I find a little more compelling. Yeah. I like it. I like albums that have an idea and they just kind of run with it. It's fun. It's like musicals, but without the cringe. Just kidding. I like some musicals. Hashtag not all musicals. Which ones do you like? At this time, I'm not disclosing this information because I can't remember. Shelso says, if you were to go to an anime con, what types of panels would you like to see? Are you more interested in anime history type panels or how to do blank type panels, etc.? I would really like to see panels about very specific facets of anime history. Just because there's so much that's so easy to miss, you know? Like, as a Western anime fan, like I've said this before, but we really are missing so much context that every now and again you find yourself just kind of stumbling into something that you realize is tremendous and tremendously important that just kind of hadn't really crossed your radar up until that point. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a tangent, but I felt that way of reading Osamu Dazai and being like, totally. Oh, I totally see how this has influenced like every single like seminal anime writing style ever. Yeah, definitely. Or just like his style of writing and thinking about things. And that's kind of a huge blank spot for a lot of people who like anime because we don't have an inclination over here to read like literature from another country. Yeah, so some historical panels would be cool. I used to, when I was a kid, really enjoy how to blank panels because it was so like mystifying to see how, especially like artists did stuff. Oh, but that kind of thing. But tutorials and like peeking over people's shoulders and seeing how they did things is like every other video on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about I'm not like mystified by it anymore. At anime cons. Yeah, like, people ask me sometimes like, oh, have you ever thought about appearing at an anime convention? And the thought that I always have is like, you know, why would I do a panel if I could just make a video on it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely for me, the appeal of panels now is kind of like meeting or hearing directly from creators I admire, I suppose. That's what this is for. But yeah, that's what the Q&As are for. You guys get to choose for free. You don't even have to stand in line. Well, no, I mean, you can listen for free, but if you want to ask stuff, it's it's a whole fuckload cheaper than an anime admission, con. And you won't catch you're not going to get COVID. Yeah, no kidding. Male Tears says, what's your personal favorite era of Sonic design style so far? Sonic movie version included. Thanks. I really think the movie design is really, really cute, and I think it's really perfect for what kind of movie that is. He's cute, but sometimes I don't like his fucking teeth.
I agree.
Sometimes we see too much of his teeth, and sometimes we see too much of the little red veins in his eyes, and I don't like that either. Yeah. He's cute, though.
I feel that.
Favorite design? I mean, I feel like I already blew my load talking about Sonic Adventures art, so I think I'm inclined
to say that as well. Or no. My answer is going to be the circle with 3 triangles, like
Christmas tree Sonic.
Yeah, like the manual, like the Japanese manuals, where he's just like a tiny little, like he's made up of like 3 lines.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say the stuff that was compiled for Sonic the Screensaver, like all of those internal designs that were done.
That shit's so good looking.
Yeah, stuff around the Sonic Jam era is, I think, like peak classic Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen more official art now in that style, given how much they've tried to do, like, loving throwbacks to old stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess kind of sort of the art for Mania and Origins are a bit like that. But they're definitely more modernized.
But I'm thinking, like, the big, super colorful, like, verdant illustrations.
Like, almost sort of overwhelming to look at. I would really like to see a return to that.
Such as the famous picture of Sonic reading inside while Tails is outside in the snow.
I'm also a big fan of the one where Knuckles is, like, parachuting and the word bung is over his head.
I love when Japanese media tries to come up with an English sound effect.
Yeah.
And just, like, kind of misses the mark enough that it's really funny.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've seen bong quite a lot. Yeah. And I'll just be like, bong.
I see a bomb as onomatopoeia.
B-O-M.
Yeah. B-O-M-B for something exploding.
Bomb. It's like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, not wrong.
Sure.
Well, thank you all so much for asking stuff. This was fun. It feels good to be back doing this sort of thing again. Mind you, I guess I should have set this up front. I'm still, like, on a hiatus, quote unquote, for the time being. I've been working on stuff this whole time intermittently with moving, but my focus isn't with, like, putting out, like, I'm not working toward, like, a particular... How do I put it? I'm working on a lot.
You're not in the stretch of, like, I am currently making a video.
Yeah.
You're just working on a lot of different, like...
I'm working on doing things that are going to make every like video I make better.
Groundwork for future stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And also taking care of yourself and getting life stuff in order, because we've had to deal with a lot of shit in moving.
Yeah.
There's literally still shit I have to, like, switch over and call. Oh, God, I fucking gotta call the electricity company today.
Yeah. So I'm going to continue to be offline aside from getting this out here. I just figured I would have had a video around this time, so I might as well release this and have it be something for people to kind of fill the lack of a proper video for me. I've been really enjoying my time off in the sense that it has made returning more and more exciting. I have a lot of really, really exciting stuff lined up that I'm really excited to get to make that I think is really going to step things up. So thank you so much for your continued patience. I'll try not to take too terribly long, but that being said, like, I don't know exactly when my next video will come out. It shouldn't be, like, a really long time or anything like that, but you know, it may come sooner, it may come later. I may kind of stockpile a video or two. I'm not really sure yet. I can't guarantee that I'll really try to keep people posted on it either, because I kind of want to, I don't know, just feel out going on impulse. Yeah. And lastly, I apologize to the entirety of France. Thank you so much.
You know, my step-great-grandma, who I'm not technically related to, is French.
Yeah, so that means everything I said was fine.
Yeah, it was totally fine. I give you the French pass.
Thanks, bye.
Bye.